lighting. Jesus, it is very, very bright. But I want to bring you some information. I always on Saturday bring you information about, especially for my credit group on Facebook, on how to do things. We started a credit kickoff in January. So thank you, Brandon, for joining me. I want to give y'all some information on how you can deal with student loans. Now, one thing you're going to find out with my content, just make sure you keep an open mind. Keep an open mind. If y'all can, as you come in, hit the thumbs up, like the video. It helps the algorithm. And drop some comments from where you guys are from and joining me. It helps me to know, and also look in research for the needs of people in your state and different people from different regions. To believe it or not, are dealing with different types of credit problems. So what I want to focus on is how you should deal with student loans. So we're going to talk about with student loans and your credit. You might hear some different information from me than normal credit, what you hear credit repair companies. Because once again, I'm going to tell you guys, I'm not credit repair. I'm more or less into coaching. So the difference between credit repair and coaching, what I am focusing on, me, myself personally, what I have done in my life, bought my first rental property at 21, had a daughter at 19, a single mother, and was able to purchase my first property at 21 and an additional property at 25. So how does this tie in to credit and student loans? You're about to get a preview. So when it comes down to credit, well, my point of view, why I give you guys ways to deal with credit issues, also different types of credit in your credit journey and business credit, because ultimately I'm bringing you information to show you how you can leverage your credit to equal cash flow. Okay, that is my goal. The majority of problems that people have with their credit is a lack of cash flow. Many people will lose their jobs. Either they might have a loved one that gets sick, they're sick, and they lose a source of income. So if you understand chess principles, coaching principles of how to win this game of life, the rat race, you will not have a problem with your credit if you learn how to leverage your credit to create cash flow. So if you learn in chess, you always want to protect your pieces. This is what, and develop your pieces to the best position on the board. So keep that in mind. So here it is with student loan debt. When you're dealing with student loan debt, I myself, when I was 19, went to college, went to school, and I had student loans. Now, student loans and debt in itself, a lot of times you don't want to, on your credit profile, put a lot of debt. Now, you'll hear me say that a lot because we're not just where people talk about credit repair. I'm talking about building a credit profile. Forget all of that because people can have a certain credit score and you can't get funding for nothing, okay? So you want to build your credit profile. But me, at the age of being 19, when you're young, a majority of you got student loan debts when you were young. Student loans can be a way to have a trade line on your credit report where generally at that age group, you don't have options because you don't have credit history. So when you're dealing with student loan debt, most of the time, and some of you might be at that point, if you're actively in school, You want to make sure student loans, if you're younger, can be positive long as you make sure if you cannot pay that, you put that student loan in deferment as soon as possible. So by putting that student loan in deferment, you will generally, and you will have positive history created on your credit report. The problem is many people, because they're younger, they don't know about deferring that student loan or forbearance. And what happens is they find out about it once their credit has been late a number of times. But with myself, I always made sure my student loans were in deferment if I didn't have the ability to pay. So when I got my job and I was making a significant amount of income, the student loan payments actually helped me qualify for a home. So it was because, so being so young, that helped me with my credit history because I made sure that student loan constantly was in a deferment state that looked positive on my credit score. And then along with a line of credit, revolving credit that I had. So I was able to qualify for a home loan because of the good payment history on my student loan debt. Where normally a person at the age of 20, 21, you don't have much history. But the student loan helped me have history. So that's the point of student loans. A lot of people are in a position, they saying they want to remove their student loans. I want to dispute it off. Keep in mind, one positive thing about student loans, it can make up a large chunk of your age of credit. So if you are a person that has student loans and you have got them when you were generally younger, and sometimes people will defer it, remember, removing that account can decrease your credit score if you don't have any other lines of credit with a lot of age. So I'm in my 40s. So my student loan was paid off years ago. But for a person that have active student loan debt and they are in their 30s, a large part of your credit history are 28, 24. If you remove that student loan debt off of your credit score, many a times you can see your score tank. Because if you have a short or you're younger, you don't have a lot of credit. And credit history builds up the third largest part of your credit score. So you want to keep that in mind. So you want to look at your credit profile and see how would it adversely affect you by removing that student loan debt. You also need to know if you think that I'm going to remove student loan debt, because a lot of times if you have debt, you cannot qualify for when you go for a home for as much if you didn't have that debt. So if you wanted a home in a certain area and the homes in those areas are going for $250,000, but you got 80 grand worth of student loan debt, your monthly payments and your obligation will cause you maybe not to qualify for that home. Maybe not for a home altogether, but just that home in that price range. So a lot of people will seek to remove their student loans, but that's not going to help you get the home, because generally first-time home buyers are going through FHA. FHA is a government-backed loan. Student loans are also backed by the government. So if you remove that debt off your credit report and you think they're not going to know about it, the joke's on you. They know that you have that loan. So that's like going to Bank of America and you got a loan for $10,000. You didn't either pay that or you're paying that and then you go to Bank of America for a mortgage and think they don't know because it's not reporting on your credit report that that account is active, that's not realistic. Now, maybe removing that student loan debt may help you if you're trying to qualify maybe for a vehicle or other things. But if you're generally, people want to remove that student loan debt simply because they're trying to qualify for a home. But trust and believe, they will know about that student loan debt. The other thing with student loans, it's a government-backed debt. They're all, even if it's private, they're falling under a different category. If you got a collection for a student loan debt, it's totally different category. It is secured by Congress to make sure that you're going to pay that loan. So whether you remove it off your credit or not, you still own that loan. You will not be able to go so far in life until you bring that current. You won't be you can't get a home, can't go back to school, have your tax returns taken. You want to make sure that at minimum that you're paying on your student loan debt. So one of the ways that you can, if you're a person that is in default with your student loans, you need to look into what's called student loan rehabilitation. In the Obama administration, they had a program that they started where you can pay on your student loans as little as $5 a month, because student loans are not going away unless you qualify for one of the programs for student loan forgiveness. Like if you're a teacher working in a certain area, high risk area, low income area, you could qualify after 10 years of working in that field for student loan forgiveness, okay? But, or also charities too, certain charities. But generally, if you have student loan debt, and also if you disabled and you really cannot work going forward, but it still takes 3 years for that to kick in, and you better be totally disabled. And on top of that, they will bill you for that, for even if you had a 90,000 worth of student loan debt. When you get amnesty, that tax obligation can still be out there for that amount of money. So you would have to talk to your accountant on how you can resolve that part of it. So you can't bankrupt student loan debt off. All you can do just about is pay it, unless you have two of the options are talked about. But student loan rehabilitation, you can start making payments. It's dictated on your income. And if you make payments for about 9 months, all the it can help with the negative reporting. It will stop. Once you make those 9 payments, you will be able to get a home. It will bring you out of default, and it will stop withholding your tax returns or taking your tax return every year. So the penalties of the default, an account being in default, could go away. Then you also have the option to consolidate your student loans, because you have some folks that have a number of student loans. So many a times, if you do defer that student loan and pay it, or do the rehabilitation and pay it, you can now qualify for deferment or forbearance. So it is a good strategy for you to pay that and then get it in deferment and possibly go back and challenge the negative payments. But at that point, what will happen, you'll know if you have late payments. And like I said many times before, with late payments, as long as you bring that account current, after 3 months, you'll start to see that account, your score go back up. And every month that account is on time, the less late payments affect your credit score. And when you reach about over 2 years, it really doesn't factor into your score. So you want to, even if you had late payments in the past, you want to be careful, because some people challenge the student loan and the late payments might have been in 2015, 18, and you have more positive payment history than negative payment history. You may not want to challenge that. You may want to leave it alone, because if you have more positive payment history and remove that, you can affect two big categories in your credit score. The first would be payment history, which is the largest, is 35% of your credit score. And the third part, which is age of credit. And that is the third biggest part of your credit score, which is 15%. So you want to look at that before you, if you have late payments, and we're going to get into that now, before you challenge that, okay? So keep in mind, when you're looking at how to do it with student loans, and we're going to talk about how to dispute them, you want to look at payment history overall. Do you got more positive payments than negative payments? Because you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. How is it going to play on your age of credit? So you want to look at those factors, because if you start disputing on that, it is possible they're going to remove the whole account, and it can be counterproductive for your goal. So one thing I want to tell y'all, why my content is different, why I said credit coaching, because my standpoint is to get you and develop you where you want to go as quick as possible to your goal. So what I want you to always focus on, you want to learn the principles. And I'm going to say it because I used to play basketball. You learn the principles. When you go into when we go into practice, you're doing certain things. You know, you're developing your shot, you're developing your post-up game, but you want to make sure that you develop your strengths. And it's the same thing with your credit profile, and be cognizant of your weakness. Many people, when it comes down to their credit, they focus too much on trying to build their weakness and not playing to your strength. So I'll use an example. Let's take Stephen Curry. Stephen Curry himself, his dad told him, you're small compared to those in the NBA. He told him, you can't keep running down in the middle and doing layups. You need to develop a shot, an outside game. So if he focused on the fact that he was smaller, trying to get better, we all know, if you watch basketball, he's not the greatest at defense, but he's a killer on his shot, his outside game. He can never adjust for the fact that he's physically smaller compared to LeBron James, physically. But he had to develop his game and his strength. You need to do the same thing with your credit profile. So I'll give you an example. And this is talking about student loans, because a lot of y'all want them off for late payment history. And you've been taught by credit repair to chase late payments all the time, because their business model is built on a subscription plan to drag it out for a long period of time and to dispute for a year while they're extorting money out of you. And you wonder why your credit score don't ever get better. You're going from credit repair to credit repair because you're focusing on your weakness all the time and not trying to look at, well, what's my strength? I'm aware I got a weakness here. Like Stephanie Curry, I'm aware I'm a smaller, but what's my strength? You need to focus on your credit profile strength. So if you're a younger person with student loans, I got debt, but you know what? I can't get access to a lot of credit. Right now, I'm young. Make sure you maintain that status of deferment. If you're in school, just make sure if you can't pay it, you out, defer it as long as you can. And then Sometimes in chess we talk about push the pawn. Sometimes you ain't gotta move, just stay in the game. Just stay in the game. So if you're that person, you don't want to remove your student loan debts. You just want to make sure you leverage that to make it positive. Try to make it, because that itself can be a strength for someone who don't have a lot of payment history. And then on the other hand, for a person, like I said, that maybe even on the other hand, if you're a person that had it for a while, student loan payments, and you weren't able to get credit and you're older, you don't want to ditch that over some late payments back in 2015, because if you close it out, it's going to take away from your age of credit. So you want to make sure, even if you got those late payments, you might say, well, I got late payments, even if they was recent, like a year ago. I got late payments, or let's say right now it's in default. Okay, it's in default. Let me take advantage of this rehabilitation. Then we already hear Joe Biden. We already hear what the CARES Act was coming down the pike is student loan forgiveness. Why wouldn't you put yourself in position of that? Why would you let that continue to stay in a default status? Because I got people that's, if you can get that report in current and just get it out of being negative, then you can start building other aspects of your credit profile. And a lot of y'all haven't built the other aspects of your credit profile. That's why your credit score stay in the garbage, in the dump, because you're listening to wrong advice. You're listening to people that say you got to get all this negative stuff out. You got to wipe your credit clean, then build credit. Who said that you can put on muscle and lose fat at the same time? Why can't you do both? Why you gotta look? You might not can do both effectively, but you can build credit and get lines of credit. Why you have unsecured lines of credit? Why you have negative items? You just gotta build properly. Some of y'all just so focused on all the negative items instead of trying to build positive ones. Just like you gotta focus on be aware of your weaknesses, but you can't chase that. Because if you always aware of your weakness and try to develop something that you're weak at, instead of going hard body as something that you are strong at, you would never be great. Okay, so if Stephen Curry only concerned that I'm small, he would have never made it to the NBA, because there's no way with his size. But when you look at him in the pool of what it is in the average life, he's 6'1". He's really not that little. He might be little compared to those in the NBA, but for his height, he's better than taller than most of the men in the nation. The average guy is 5'9". So it's the same thing with yourself. You want to make sure you develop your credit profile. Yeah, I might not be the LeBron James of credit. My stuff might not be perfect. I might not be an 850, but let me develop what's positive on my credit. Let me not just always look at negative on my credit. So you got to be able to look at your credit profile in a whole, okay? So make sure you do that. And so when it comes to the student loans, there are times, in order to get it off, if you're a person, and I just say your best goal is to try to bring it, because even if you get it off, you still owe it. You still owe it. But just say you want to get it off to get a car. If you're dealing with Navient, let's take for instance, what you need to look for is the oldest payment. Navient, Department of Education. If you look at them, if you got a late payment that's over 60 days, 90 days, they are notorious. If you look at your accounts, it can say, let's say it's January of 2020 on time. February 2020 on time. And then they'll do March 2020 on time. April, 90 days late. That is impossible. How can I be on time, 90 days late, out the blue? It would have to be for March, I was 60 days late. February, 30 days late. So this is what you got to look for, because they are notorious. So you may see that pattern. If you look at Experian, it might say 90 days late for April, but on time for March, on time for February, on time for January. Then you'll look at Equifax. It'll say 90 days late for May, on time for April, on time for March, on time for February, on time for January. And they'll do something different or maybe equal to what Equifax was reporting on TransUnion. So that in itself is inaccurate payment history. So you want to look at that because they do that so often. And generally, what you're going to have when you go down with student loans, people have a number of student loans because they was going to school and they needed a number of accounts for financing. So usually when you see that inaccurate payment status for one on that same bureau, the rest of them are generally going to be reporting the same way. So if you have a number of them, usually that pattern for the rest is going to report the same way. So those are the things that you need to look for to dispute that. Also, data loss activity. One thing you'll always have is generally the balance information. High balance information with a student loan will be lower than what you owe because of the interest. Navient actually had a lawsuit because a lot of payments, they had made some, even when people's stuff was in deferment, they was reporting it late. So they actually got sued, I believe it was last year, and actually the Federal Trade Commission was suing Navient. So you can use that also as an angle. If you have Navient loan accounts, you need to mention that in your dispute. So don't try to play it. You want to name all the issues. If it's something that's not reporting, you want to you can say if it's a Navient account, I made payments, and the payments I made was not applied correctly, and the balance I feel is incorrect. Because if they didn't apply the balance properly, your interest rate is higher than the real balance. So you can see a lot of times it might not be correct, the balance. So you can challenge the balance amount. Because if they misapplied the payments, you were accumulating interest that is not really reflecting the true part of your balance. So you want to pay attention to the reporting balance across all three. But the payment history is a big one. Date open. I don't know why Equifax always seem to be off. If you have an account open, Equifax always be on the first or something. I don't know why they do that. Everybody else can say account open, let's say October 19th, 2021. For some reason, Equifax always is October 1st, 2021. They seem, so look at the open date. So you want to identify every inconsistency with that account. And don't let nobody fool you. If the other accounts are reporting reflective different information, you need to also name that in your dispute. So if y'all, I also have a website. If y'all need dispute letters, you can go there. We have dispute packages. And if you want to, we have a package for hard inquiry removal. So you can go there and get that for free. But you want to make sure you always include all that information in your dispute. So if you already know you got negative student loan information, it is important to get a system like my FICO, Identity IQ, where it's good to line up those three accounts across the board. Excuse me, across the board. And that's how you want to attack it. But data last activity, look at that. Date, status date, and also always pay attention if you have disputed that account. If they don't update that account being in dispute, you always on that second round want to go back and challenge that. That they have to notate that account is in the dispute and in dispute. So I want to entertain y'all questions. I see it's a number of people in here. Thank y'all for joining me, and I hope that gave some insight for you. But always make sure, like I said, don't get so focused with the student loans on the negative. Look at the positives. Always remember, you want to think about things reasonably when it comes to your credit profile. Like I said, my content may be different than what you're hearing with credit repair, but my content always makes sense because I'm not building a whole market. I'm trying to get you there. A coach never come in the game and say, our plan is to go into overtime. let's go into overtime and let's excuse me, that was a piece of candy. Go into overtime and let's see what happens. That's not that. Let's hope we edge it out. That's not what we're trying to do. You're trying to go in and win. That's it. You're trying to end the game. You're trying to blow it out as fast as possible. If you got to make sure when you're building your credit profile, you're trying to get to your goal as soon as possible. So don't look at it, oh, I got to clean my credit all up. I had a gentleman, he did a post for me. So on my community, he had some issues with a mortgage. Back in June, July. Back in June and July, an active foreclosure that resolved. It went in months, and I told him, listen, let's work on these other negative items, some collections, clean that up. And he talked to his attorney to get that resolved out because it was on the verge. Then a couple of months, he was like, should we dispute this? No, leave it alone. Bill was positive, threw some trade lines on there. Then moved up to small credit cards, and it wasn't long. It's like 6 months. 6 months. Then he went to Navy Fed, and I said, well, now it's time. He asked about pulling the trigger. I said, pull the trigger. Got a credit line for $23,000 Amex card, because the point is you want to get to your goal. So you don't want to get, so if he got caught up, that foreclosure, I need to dispute that. That's not what you need to do. You need to play the game to how you're going to win. So you don't need to always focus on the negative all the time on your profile. Try to build your positive part. Just like if you're trying to work out. Look, not everybody is, as a male, going to be 6'1". Not everybody, is going to have the ability to lift weights and have the body makeup of an Arnold Schwarzenegger or even where they call the Arnold Classic bodybuilding physique. Or some people are not, could develop their legs like The Rock. You know what? You just might not have the material or the muscle makeup. So even men understand you need to work that body part that's going to help better support your physique. If you got a great chest, you develop that and try to balance out everything else. You don't want your legs to be small. You're going to work that, but it might not be the best body part or the best muscle part of your body that you have the ability to develop. And it's the same thing with your credit. You need to go and work towards your advantage. With me, I'm a female, 5'10". I cannot work out like a chick that's 5'3" or 5'1". They have advantages that I don't have, but I have advantages that they don't have. So I can carry a little more weight than a chick that's 5'3", but that chick that's 5'3" maybe not will gain the weight or on the scale that I have. But so you got to look at things differently. So always do that with your credit score. So remember what I'm saying. Make sure that moving or monkeying with that student loan can remove a lot of payment history. Okay? So if you are going to dispute that account, try to go to the oldest payment, not the fresh new joint. Don't try to go with the new joint. Look for the oldest payment and try to work on that. Call that out. If you are a person that want it removed, work on the oldest payment and you want to dispute that. Don't try to dispute everything, okay? Just the oldest. Go. I don't care if you like, well, the latest one was last year. I want to attack that. No, it's fresh. Go for the oldest one. Aim for that. And it's going to say 90 days. And it'll say on time before, or 60 days, on time for the month before. And just attack that hard if you're trying to get it off. Just keep and make sure you look at the balances. And that's what you want to dispute. You want to make it make sense, and then they may remove that whole account, okay? But don't be surprised. It's not guaranteed that all bureaus is going to remove it. And just make sure that your profile can support that. So let me look at the questions, you guys. I hope that will help for you to concentrate on how to bill. Okay, I'm about to go through real quick. Okay. Thank you everyone from joining me here. My people in Jersey girl myself. Milwaukee, thank you so much. Thank you for always joining me. Skillet 30, I appreciate you. Norman, you're from Newark. I am too. Thank you for tuning in. Newark, New Jersey, Florida in the house. Thank you for joining me, everyone. ATL. And let's see. Brandon said, I have student loans open and closed. The ones that's closed is saying transferred. How can I remove them? Brandon, if it says transferred, you shouldn't remove them. It's not bothering your credit score. I'm glad you asked that question. Because anytime the only time you should dispute that, normally, if that student loan account is transferred, just make sure that the monthly payment says 0. And make sure that the balance says 0. But normally, when that is transferred, the balance and that monthly payment all needs to say 0. Because if it is a monthly payment amount, it can bring down your score, or it can show, if you're applying for something, a monthly obligation. If you see that, then you dispute it on that fact. But removing that account, if it's already closed or if it's transferred, you're removing payment history. So I never advocate if it, why mess with it, especially if it's over a year old. I would just leave it alone, and going back to what I say, try to develop those things that the positives and build around it. What's the biggest credit secret for someone who got a score in the high 7s, but a thin credit profile 40s? Oh, you look like 20, 30. Thank you so much. When you get up into the 700s, y'all, if anything, it depends on what's on your profile. At that point of the game, in the 700s, let's say if you need to add an installment account. Let's say for me right now, I keep saying I don't have an installment account, but I got mortgages. So no, let's say you're a person that don't have a car, because I don't have a car payment right now. My car payment was paid a couple of last year. So let's say but I have a mortgage, which is an installment account. But just say you're a person that don't have a mortgage, don't have a car loan, and maybe your score, because you're in the 700s, you don't see it moving, and you need an installment loan. just throw something on for an installment loan. And I wouldn't say like a credit strong. If you need a little furniture or something like that, you can do that. But when you get into the 700s, it's a different game. That if you have a thin profile, your best bet maybe is to get some kind of installment loan. If you don't have a car note, if you got a car note, I would go for credit cards. If you don't understand that, and I think a lot of people don't understand that concept when they say a thin credit profile is if you don't have 6 trade lines, or really you want to get unsecured lines of credit, which is credit cards, and they want to see you manage it, because all of this stuff is about data points. Remember, all the system is an algorithm, and what banks want to see how you handle different types of debt, okay, and the levels to the type of debt. So the reason why cars are not, it's an installment loan, but when you're dealing with cars and stuff like that, really building a strong credit profile, if a lender is reviewing your file in front of them and all they see is car loans, it depends on what you're going for. It's just not a great way to build your credit profile. You can have one, but the reason why mortgage installment loans are higher, it's secured with a appreciating collateral versus a depreciating car. Okay, so if y'all don't know, a car, as soon as you drive it off the lot, it's a liability. It's a depreciating. It depreciates in value. As soon as you drive it loses 10,000. So that's not attractive to a lender. So their avenue is, remember, the bank play chess, not checkers. What I always talk about, they secure their moves. They protect their pieces. That's how the banks is. The banks are like what DMX said. When you play with the house, is house rules. 2 words that you never hear in your life is house lose. They're not trying to lose. They're the house. They're not trying. If you go into a casino and you winning, they're gonna change the dealer. They're not in the business to lose. Banks are not in the business to lose. So when you starting to ask for certain type of loans, get into a different level, they want to make sure that you got assets that they can come back and get if you don't pay them. So a car is a depreciating asset. So for your overall credit profile, if a lender is sitting there and all you got credit card, all your life, car loan, credit card, furniture accounts, you just don't look like a healthy credit profile. You just, and certain little lines of credit, like $300 credit lines, it just looks like, or oh God, self-lender accounts, secured. You just don't look like you're a person that know a lot about financial knowledge. You don't look like that person is doing anything really going anywhere financially. So when they see a mortgage, whoa, they already know. Banks only believe banks. You're at a different level. The reason why you're at a different level to them, number one, if you don't pay me this, I have an asset that I can come after, put a lien, and get my money back. That's what the banks, a lot of y'all don't understand. The reason why you got collections is just another way that banks secure their bag. If you don't pay them, they write it off and they sell it to a debt. They make racks on racks on racks. They don't never lose. That's why it says write off, because they're going to get their money from their tax deduction from the IRS and turn around and sell the debt and even make more money, because their whole view is to secure. They're not in the business to gamble. So with that being said, you want to take your credit profile, if you're in the 700s, and making sure you building with good installment loans. Mortgage are good because it just show you already been vetted by the banking system. It's one of the highest. They already know you done went through the ringer. You're solidified. They already know, unlike an apartment that don't show if you're late, that mortgage being paid on time for the last 10 years, you're showing financial responsibility because they know if you over 28, 29 days late, we gonna see you been late. So that's what you want to do if you're in the 700s. You want to focus on building your credit profile. You want to focus not so much on the score, but what's the quality like that's really reporting. You don't want to chase at that point at a 700. You want to upgrade to a higher tier credit cards. There's tier 1 credit cards. You want to get Amex. You want to get Chase credit cards. That's a whole different game. So always remember, everybody, what I'm telling him, it might not pertain to you. That's all I'm just saying, because everybody is in a different, but you should always aspire to build what's on your credit profile. There's some people that got an 800 credit score, and I'm going to tell you the truth, y'all. If y'all hear me, what I'm saying on building your credit profile, there's somebody with a mean, just like Hector, the gentleman that did the post. His credit score was a 674 credit score, and he got the Amex card for $23,000. It didn't. He could probably get more than somebody else with an 800 credit score, and a lot of it, he's high, very high on the income bracket. Okay. So he's high. I don't want to put all that, but he's very high on the income bracket. Okay. So what his revenue is, okay, annual revenue is very high on the income bracket. Okay. So that's why I keep telling y'all, money counts. Don't let these folks lie to you. Money counts. That's why I keep telling you, cash flow. Money counts. Money counts. I counsel somebody, a lot of people that are professional people, and they making bank. Now, I have someone counsel their physician. They making bank, but their student loans is heavy. But the thing with that, they got mortgage, student loans, but their income generating amount of what they make is much different than what me and you make. So for that person to get a loan, or but what they're doing, their physician, is much different than somebody else. Their income or their revenue on what they're making. So all of that come into play. Don't let these people these people lie to you. Okay, that you got an 800 credit score, you can get whatever you can. That's a lie. That's a lie. I know people with a mean 660 that outdo somebody with an 800 any day, because what they got, could it be revenue, whatever the types of things reporting on their credit report, is much different. So you got to consider that. So you have a lot of people that tell you, I'll sell you a CPN, and it got a 730 credit score, and it's trash. Okay, it's a secured card, some other trash. And so when they look at your credit profile, you ain't gonna get nothing. So you gotta make sure you want to build right. You want to focus on building your credit profile, because trust and believe, there's people with high credit scores, but they can have a bankruptcy. And when it comes down in business, on that business side, you might can play on the normal part of life, maybe getting a home, stuff like that. But when you stepping over to that business credit, that's going to stop you from doing a lot of things. If you're trying to get for business loans, it's going to hinder you. Now, that person credit score could be much meaner than the person with a 660, but that person with that 660 without that bankruptcy could do a lot more on the business side than that person. So that's why I'm saying, now, the person with the 580 credit score, if they cash flowing like that, they got the money, they could do much better than the person with the 800 credit score making 20 grand a year. So I'm telling you, the banks are, if they got certain assets in their name, yeah, because you got a low credit score don't mean you can't get funding if it depends on what's in your name. Because you got people with a low credit score that, I know landlords, low credit score. I had at one time, until I balanced it out, 2 homes never missed a payment. Low credit score. Because if you got too much debt and not enough unsecured lines of credit, that's why I told you I was rocking out with, you rocking out with like two mortgages, $4,000 a month just in mortgage. And so if you don't have enough large lines of credit, your score gonna be, because you got more debt than available credit. That's why I'm telling y'all. And so I had to increase. That's where I'm giving y'all this game. That's where I ran into with my house. When I went to get my second house, I had some 25, had the still paying for the student loans, had a mortgage, always paid on time. Never, none of this stuff ever been late. That's where I learned to write the book. This was before YouTube. This is before that. Before all that. So I had to buy this information y'all getting off of me. If y'all knew how much I had to pay through the years, we're talking about that was 2001, 2006. It wasn't that information you could jump on YouTube and somebody like me telling you. I'm not telling you. That's why my game is much different than what y'all hearing with these credit repair people. Because you got folk living in the bowels of the hood repairing folks' credit with credit sweep. What they know financially. They got a lot of, like, they suckering a lot of y'all to, oh, you can buy this system and it'll dispute for you. What that person really know? They don't know nothing. They selling a hustle. What I'm telling you, what I have done, is much different. It's a whole different game. So my stuff that I'm telling y'all, I'm telling you how to get finance. I'm telling you what the banks, they selling you pipe dreams. I'm telling you what the real is. And so what the real was with me, I end up having too much debt. Had 2 car and I'm like, yo, I ain't never missed a payment. 2 car loans, mortgage, and not enough unsecured lines of credit. And I paid a credit repair company, just like y'all, one that's known, $600, $625, because I had the mortgage, I had the income, but my dude, he like, yo, your credit scores, why the credit score is so low? Because it was because of the debt. I'm paying them. I'm thinking it's inquiries. I didn't know about credit. I just had good financial habits. I just never was a person at that time. I had like a $2,000 credit card, and I didn't use that because I worked in cash most of the time. But what I had too much student loan debt, and I went on and just paid that jammy. I was just playing with that because I was making the income. And I just didn't want to get off my cash. And I just said it's not bothering me. I can make the payment every month. So, but I had too much debt, and I didn't have enough unsecured lines of credit. And I had a mortgage, but not enough credit lines. So that's why I keep telling y'all, debt can stop you. And so soon as I threw on that credit, I paid them. My brother told me, why you pay them to do that? Paid them $600. He said, I wish you would have caught me. And then he sent me a book over. I started reading that, started learning all this stuff. Threw on back then. You want to talk about game back then. Y'all talking about that $5,000 trade line and y'all whoop-de-de-whoop over $10,000 trade line. No, baby, back then, you could get them to report $25,000, $50,000. That was the wild, wild west of it back in the day. You could throw that on, and if you got real debt, boom, up your credit score for real to balance out the debt to the available credit. So that's what I did. I paid just like y'all doing my jewelers club, and they are all y'all whoopity whoop AG jewelers. Baby, back then you used to can get 25, 30, throw it on there. Boom. And anybody that's old school that's been doing it for a long time, if y'all really the ones that's doing it, you know I ain't lying. You know if you've been in the game, you understand what I'm talking about. If you was in the real estate where people, the 06, 2005, you know I ain't lying. So you could get a home back then, no money down. I had a first, second, third mortgage. I had like 4 mortgages. You can do that, but it ain't rocking like that today. So even those companies, they got regulated, so they can't just offer that no more. So that's how it. And he said, facts, that I was back then. Yeah, back then you could throw it on. You could, but they would. Man, I ain't even got time. You could finesse a lot of things, but now technology, you can't finesse the same. You used to could do that with business lines. There were companies set up, even with business, giving you business lines of credit, reporting it to Dun & Bradstreet the same way. So it's just, it don't rock like that no more. So now, and you could get the authorized user and then get a home like that, but they're not doing that. I wrote my mom on to get a house. And so she added me on, but it's not rocking like that no more. So now you just got to learn how to play the game where you at. All right. So with student loans, what I will encourage you, make sure your kids going to I know this, it's not off topic. The problem with student loans, like with my daughter, she went to a junior college. You went to a junior college, transferred to a 4-year school. No, she got about tops, because she decided to go on campus on her last year for her degree, $6,000 worth of student loan debt. And she got enough in the bank to pay it off. She just cheap. No lie. And as Little Kim said, I ain't lying. So if you in Jersey, you need to be working FAFSA. And there you go. He said, my son did that too. Because what they don't tell you, when you transfer over with that associates and go to the finish your 2 years at the 4-year college, you're going to walk with the same degree, but half of the student loan debt. That's that. So that's really how you need to be having your children to do it. Don't have your kids, why would you be financing and putting your name on the line for that kid to flunk out? I have many people in my age group. My daughter can't go to college, go and play around for a year, and you signed on to 20 G's for somebody to flunk out and party. No, you need to make them put in that work. If you're really serious about this, you can go on FAFSA, straight up. Financial aid will pay for all of that, including books. So that's really to avoid student loan debt. Why are you going to a 4-year college institution to get 90 grand, 100 grand, and then people add insult to injury, and they're not really going to be doctors, anything that's going to turn that over. They're going for degrees that is like communications. Who doing communications nowadays? They're not going to be an engineer. They're going to get liberal science. Liberal arts. I'm sorry, political science degrees. Where does that translate to money? So what you need to do, go to that junior college. Go there to send them right on to that junior college. That's where you're going to go. Because I'm not putting my name on the line. I will once you vet yourself out there. I know it's not popular, but I bet you if you do your kids that way, they'll love you later. Okay? They'll love you later. Some of y'all kids way too spoiled, putting your name on the line for them to flunk out. And you done lost at a Howard Morehouse 30 G's for somebody to play around. You can play around on your own time and your own dime. And you got to do that for yourself. A lot of time, if you're an adult, you better go to junior college or community college, however y'all want to call it now. Community college. Why getting in all this debt and people going into getting masters and, I don't know, public relations, and then got all that student loan debt and then want to switch up and get a master's thinking that it's going to kick the can, and you adding more student loan debt. You adding mortgages on, and you ain't even own a house. That just don't make any sense. Or why not going to the trades, industries, electricians, plumbers, all of them trades folks, welders, Oh my God, it's such a backfill for welders now. They getting it. The quickest trade, what they said, the most tradesmen with that are the wealthiest or the richest is electricians. It costs no money for those types of materials. It's just the knowledge of that. And you could do that while you're in high school. Go to Votech. Get your sons to go to a Votech. So if that college don't pan out, boy, heating and air conditioning. But that's all I gotta say. I digress. But it will help you. And they said, yeah, I had a full scholarship, but didn't realize them loans for the room. Getting bored to live on campus like $20K a year. And so he's absolutely right. And so with your kids staying on campus, you're talking about 4 years, now like 100 grand, 90 grand, and folks ain't even got a house. You ain't even got a job. So they're doing this stuff on purpose. You know what I mean? It's to put you in a bad position on purpose. Because if you're already a minority and you don't have wealth, that's why I'm trying to encourage y'all to focus on wealth. Focus on cash flow. Think about this. What can all of y'all invest in? If you had student loans, $60,000 worth of student loans, and a lot of us learn too late, 90 grand worth of student loans, what could you invest it in? The time that you went to school, if you had access to 90 grand, how much you could have grown at in 4 years? So it's nothing wrong with going to school. You just got to make sure wherever you're going to school for, if you're going for an attorney, for a doctor, all of that stuff, if you doing that where you can create your own business and accounting, we need more people in that. But if that's not going to translate to the demand, like supply chain, all of that is big, you got to make sure your kids is researching that. Don't have those kids. I did insurance. Parents, beware. If you did sign for your children's student loan, it's real. You better put some life insurance on them, some term. Because we had a situation, a young gentleman died in a car accident and his mother signed for those student loans. Can you imagine you grieving and you on a line for $40,000? Because that don't go away. So you just, like I said, I'm giving you food for thought, all right? So it's all about learning on how to leverage, okay? Jay-Z, since folks love Jay-Z, I like him. I ain't gonna lie. I like him. Don't even got a high school education. Dropped out when he was 16. Millionaire. LeBron James worked his talent. He ain't go to college. Kobe didn't either. So if you got a talent, I'm more or less, and people like, well, you got to back it up with an education. What is education? What is education? If you saying to get a degree is the only way that you get an education, come on, I can show you it's mad people out here without a degree. And most of these so-called CEOs, they ain't really, they're over these corporations. All they are is really, they're just workers. They're getting paid at a higher level. So if you think about, if you could have got that student loan money, what could you have turned that into? Even if like 60 grand, you can get some of these homes. You can invest in trailers and cash flow that. A lot of people so thirsty now. I want to get in real estate like you. Do you really want to? Why? There's other ways that you can do real estate and you don't have to own a physical property. And I wish I mean, from when I got into it, the homes prices was much lower. But there's other ways you can do that. Investing in mobile parks, investing in mobile homes. There you can get a car note, like $8,000. People running around here riding in a $50,000 truck, paying $500 a month. Why you couldn't get a used trailer and rent that out? Why you couldn't put Section 8 in that and cash flow that, and then it could have paid actually for even a better quality car than that? So that's all I'm just saying. You have to run around and you got to make sure that the game nowadays is to be able to leverage your credit and you don't want to exchange time for money. If you don't take anything I ever tell you, Sherry's trying to tell you about credit, tell you about how to leverage your student loan debts, all for my agenda is to hopefully, because I'm from Newark, New Jersey. I'm from the hood. I'm from the hood. Understand, y'all. I am African American. We have to, as a community, stop leveraging time for money. The rich, you ain't gonna never get wealthy like that. Okay? There's many people that did, there's many people that worked hard in this life, good folks, but that don't mean that they died wealthy. Okay? So you have to learn different ways on how to leverage. Just leverage, learn how to build cash flow. Understand on how to build wealth. And wealth is measured by time. Ask yourself a question. I have somebody I do business with and bought me a lot of money. I mean, just being connected to them. They got sick recently. A pretty heavy diagnosis. But the thing is, what happened, this gentleman always been working for himself for years. And we discussed he can work from home. He don't have to be exposed to corona. And he have passive income where he's not stressed. He's not stressed about his medical bills. Because do it happen overnight? No, it don't happen overnight. But what I even have a business channel to show y'all different ways how I left my job in 2012. Physically left my job. And I've been working for my own. But it's to hone that skill. It started with me working at Ford Motor Company, buying in a year, 2 years, leveraging your W-2, getting me a rental property, cash flowing there, actually living there. It was in a very nice area. My kids can go to a decent school system, learning how to get that multifamily to pay for my cost of living. So I never paid, to this day, I ain't never pay a mortgage out of my pocket. It ain't happening. I ain't built like that. I just can't do it. So all I'm just saying is, if you learn how to protect your pieces, always if you pushing that pond out there, do a heavy pond chain. Make sure you got that piece backed up. You can get back. If you buying a home, y'all, I'm trying to tell y'all, nowadays, you're buying a home, they got y'all fooled. There ain't no starter homes at no 400, 300, 200,000. That is not how the game works. And I keep going back, it's to the monetary system. They're playing the shell game with you. If you don't hear what I'm saying, you're going to lose. You're going to lose if you're trying to work for income. You're going to lose because they keep printing the money. My brother hit me up. Oh, Bitcoin is at like $60,000. I said it should be. He said, yeah, but 60,000. I said, it was just 30. I said, but the money supply double. So if it's not that Bitcoin is going up in its price. It's the dollar going down in its value. Let me say it again. It's not that the home prices are going up. It's the purchasing power of your dollar is going down. So if you don't know that every time they send you out a stimulus check, that's doubling the money supply. But what y'all don't see, because I play on the other side, look, most of that money, you got that little check and went to businesses. And it's not small business, big corporations. So even me, myself, I told him, that's what people don't understand. They're looking at that little stimulus check. I'm looking at my little PPP loan, little EIDL loan. You sitting over here giggling. But I'm just dipping my finger in their pond of money. That's where your money at. And they tripling the money supply. The repo markets and people, the stock market is rigged. I've been preaching that to y'all for how many years? Since I've been out here. That the stock market's been rigged. I already told you silver, gold, and everybody, Bitcoin. I I told them Bitcoin. Okay, how that? Oh, the one. Yeah, it's nothing wrong with dealing in some cryptocurrencies, but how did that play out in Texas? Lights out for 5 days. How you going to the store when you ain't got no cell phone, no lights around to charge to buy water? Where that at? Where that at? I'm visiting down here right now. Where that at? The water slow. How you want to do that with no Bitcoin? Y'all got it. I'm telling y'all, don't let these folks fool. I figured that out in Sandy and Irene. If you from Jersey, you already knew certain areas. We was like the Thunderdome. Mad Max in the Thunderdome. We couldn't get gas, ration. Dark. Okay, you in the dark for 7 days. How that's going to work out if everything is digital currency? No, for real. Just think about things. Think about things. The home prices. Yeah, you telling me home prices, food? Now, God forbid. You talk about the reason why the home prices is so much is because now the lumber prices is really a lot. Lumber, we got wood for like $40 for some firewood. I'm like, what? Because think about it. The more they print the money. So if I have a cup like here and whatever is in this cup, the liquid, if I take this cup and get this bigger cup and double the supply in here, this coffee here, it's right now, it's power of this coffee. The power of this coffee right now in this smaller form is more potent. But if I keep adding water, it's going to get diluted. That's what they're doing with your dollar. I got to drink more of this coffee to get the same buck. Y'all should know that about liquor. Y'all already know that. When they start putting that ice in that liquor, in that shot, you be like, no ice. Just give me my shot. The more they add in, the more they dilute it. The more you got to buy on that drink, the more dollars it costs you. That's what they're doing to your money supply. So all I'm just telling you, in all of this I'm teaching you. I'm teaching you how to develop your credit profile, to get access to lines of credit, and to create cash flow. That is optimal. I know a lot of people are not going to catch that, but somebody going to catch it. Somebody going to catch it. You going to learn. Take that credit card. You got $23K in credit. Now I can go, instead of buying that, whatever people be buying, Gucci bag, whatever. Instead of buying the Hellcat, buy you a trailer, bruh. Buy you a trailer. Buy you a trailer. Take that trailer. Fix it up. It don't take much. Not much materials. The wall is not even sheetrock. It's panel. Fix that up. Turn around, sell that. Better yet, don't sell it. Hold the financing for the next person to pay the lot rent and to pay you. And you can charge them interest on vehicle interest, 29%. And you being the bank. That's it. And you leverage that line of credit, and you ain't using that whole line of credit. You're not even for $8,000 using that $23,000. You ain't even using half of that utilization, barely cracking 30% on utilization on that credit line. So all of that matters to the bank. How big of a credit line? It talks about your really, and I told y'all about that. Those little baby credit lines, it make you look small change. You got to learn how to I got a video, how to get larger credit lines. All of this is strategy. I actually give it to y'all for free. I'll be honest. All of this is free. I don't hide anything. And people like, well, why? If I got to pay you, listen, baby, it costs you nothing to pay attention. That's it. Nothing to pay attention. Just get a notebook and just get the writing. I give y'all free information. I'm not here trying to withhold nothing for you. Let me know if all this stuff worked for you. Good for you. Put it in the comment section. Hope you doing well. I hope you able to leave some wealth for your family. I hope your children don't have to bury you. Just don't die with an 800 credit score. What's the use? Broke. Dying with an 800 credit score. Stop running around. If you got a 700 credit score right now, if you not leveraging that to make you money, shame on you. If you not least leveraging that, and people, I'm trying to aim for the 800. Work what you got. What are you talking about? Cash flow. Cash flow. If you get, and I know this side people don't know. Put it like this. There comes a point where credit don't matter. Credit only matter for broke people. That's all credit matter for. If you got a lot of cash, if you able to control assets, if you figure it out like that, like multi-million-dollar properties in New York, rental properties, they're not looking at somebody individual credit. The banks start looking at the asset. They're not even looking at your credit. They just seeing how much the property will produce. And what is your track record on managing that? They won't even look at that. There come points when you have enough assets, the bank won't even care about that. They care about that you holding assets. That's it. So you want to build your asset profile. Because if you build, and that's where the wealth is. Can you right now ask yourself, can you sit down for 3 months and not make any income? If that is the case, you need to adjust that. And what I want y'all, I'll end it on this. If you can catch Tim Ferriss, the 4-hour work week, okay? And he did this exercise, and I'm going to help y'all out if you listen. He said, think about this. You got a heart condition, right? Say you got a heart condition, and right now you got to make your income that you make daily at your job in 4 hours, because if you work over that 4 hours, you'll die. What can you do to make the same income that you making now daily in those 4 hours? What could you do? Can you develop a product? Digital download. Right now, if you learn how to, what we call is informational products, if you learn how to leverage that, can you create income? What realm of knowledge? All of y'all got knowledge. You just got a different realm than me because your experience is different. But what can you produce? Knowledge, book, whatever. What can you do? Can you offer a service that you can make the same amount of money? And that one, say you go to work, you make $200. What can you do to make that $200 in 4 hours? Think about that. Then, once you think about that, break it down in the lowest level, what you have to sell, what you got to do, all right, to make that. Then break that down to 2 hours. How can you make your income that you make every day? And it's not hard because a lot of people aren't making really hourly a lot of money. You're talking about a lot of people you got some people out here ain't making 120 a day. What can you do? What can you sell? Can you sell dinners out of your house? What can you sell? What can you do to make that 120 or whatever your salary a day? And now break it down from 4 hours to 2 hours. If you can figure that out and do that on consistently, if you work 5 days a week, how can you accomplish that? And nobody said you're going to do it overnight, but try to focus on that and build your way up. Okay? Just try to focus on that. So I hope that's informational. I'm just giving you a starting place because sometimes a lot of us start way too big. You know what I'm saying? How am I going to just start putting that in the habit? What can you do? Keep your full-time job, but start doing a part-time business. Just start making revenue. A lot of people, I want business credit. It is so many levels to business credit because it depends on what type of business you got. A lot of people don't even, that's why I say so many levels to this. People say, I want to know about business credit. What kind of business you got? What are you trying to accomplish? What kind of business structure do you have? You got an LLC, a partnership, corporation? What are you even trying to do? If you learn how to just make money, then we can put you in a structure that'll benefit to get you business lines of credit. It's like, you right now, if you making money, I just dropped the video how Stripe give you a business line of credit. If you making money, they won't even look at a PG, nothing, just make money. So everybody try to get the game because they taking in too much information and not enough action. Not enough action. I'm an Aries, and we about that action. You got to just get in the game. Don't try to figure it out. Get in the game. Make the money. Don't you, well, I want to do this. Look, I don't mind folks dreaming, but just don't put me in your dreams. Okay? Give me solid plans. I need strategy. So what are we going to do? Well, one day I'm going to do that. Well, I'm going to open this. Well, what are you doing today? Figure out a plan. Learn how to make money. And trust me, people, I'm going to do this. I'm going to LLC. I've been having an LLC for 2 years. I got to open a bank account. You should have been open that bank account. You got to learn, what are you trying to accomplish? First, you need to know that. Then talk to an accountant. Even before you even LLC stuff. Because what y'all don't understand even about business credit. Let me take this sidebar. Certain things, lenders is just not going to touch. Okay, I did that with the Lendio. Go and look at that video. It tell you right there, certain industries, they just ain't rocking with. So you need to figure that out. General contractors, just builders. Many banks ain't going to touch that, because that's why they got to get hard money lenders, and they have outside guys that finance them, and it's called a hard money lender. Just guys that's older that might have money, put their money together and lend them at a certain interest rate for a certain amount of time. Because a lot of lenders, a lot of banks don't want to invest in. Banks are not trying to gamble. And because of what happened in 2008, they don't like to touch that industry. So you need to figure out, what are you trying to accomplish? So if I'm a general contractor, why am I trying to set up, or is it best? And I think I said this before, to do business in my own name. Get a EIN number. Use my good credit for a personal guarantee. They'll build my credit, but when you get that business line of credit in that EIN number, even in your own personal name, for me, I'm a landlord. What do I need for that? For certain things. But to make repairs, that don't hit my credit report. If I can get larger lines, it's going to finance and do what I need to do. Why would I run around here getting all this business credit to do what? What's your plans for doing it? So that's all I'm saying. How to set up my business for free. Just start doing business in your name. Look it up. It's called a sole proprietorship. If you make money in your own, if you're making money under your own social security company, you want to start a business? Do Uber Eats. You're in the business. It's a 1099 contractor. It's a sole proprietorship. Y'all got the game. I'm telling you, y'all getting too much. I'm telling you, I just want y'all to all look up what's a sole proprietorship. That's doing business in your own name. So when I bought my first real estate property in my own name, that's my business. I get tax write-offs. I don't, all of that is a tax write-off. You qualify for the PPP loan, EIDL loan, with showing your own bank statements. You don't have to. You could just do activities. What y'all get mixed up is a difference between starting. What y'all get mixed up is liability. So when you do LLCs, it's a limited liability. Okay, so incorporating is to limit your risk. That's what it is. Okay, to limit your risk. All right, so limit you from loss or for the liability of whatever damages is or cause. That's all it is. So what y'all get mixed up and what they telling you, business, you can just start a business, Uber eating, getting money in your own name. You in business. A bank can give you a loan off of your own name if you making money. It's not hard, y'all. That's why I keep telling you, just make the money. So that's why I'm telling you, leverage your credit to just make the money. I leverage my own name to start a real estate business. At that time at 21 in my own name. Later on, you can flip it and quick claim it into a LLC to limit your liability. This is what an LLC is, a limited liability company. S Corp, C Corp. These are just different types of business structure with different types of taxation. So with an LLC, with my LLC, the way it is, you have somebody that's a management who make the management decisions. And you can split up with partners that they get a certain revenue. And somebody could control it to make the business decisions, and all the money that come into the LLC get paid in, get tax deducted, and then whatever is left over goes into my name, my partner's name, and then my accountant take care of my personal income tax obligation from there. But what it is, you're getting money, and what it is, you get the deductions and what's left over, but you're using the income. So anything that's coming in your business account as an LLC, you are an employee of it, and you get to use the card and this and that. So that's all I'm saying. All right. How many people, my house or cars with Bitcoin? With Bitcoin, I wouldn't suggest right now you would use it to buy a house or a car. Like, more or less, I would hold on to the Bitcoin, me, myself, personally, and use my trash cash to buy or leverage your credit to buy a house or a car. Why? First of all, a car is a depreciating item. Why would I use Bitcoin that just doubled in its valuation and in its value from 30 grand to 60 grand to buy a car? It just don't make sense. So that's what we're talking about. That wouldn't be a wise business choice, because that's about the guy that they always talk about, the gentleman back in the day that bought pizzas, with his Bitcoin when it wasn't popping. So that you don't want to exchange that kind of value like that. You would it's more wise to develop your and this is what people don't understand, why I say y'all need to work on your credit, because with your credit, you ain't got to get up off no Bitcoin or anything. You just leveraging your name. That's all you're doing. You're leveraging your name. So you're getting access to a home to control a property, and you're getting access to lines of credit with no money down, with no anything. They even now got loans, depending on what type of loan you got with a financer, that you can now still put very little money down. So why would you, you don't want to spend your Bitcoin on a depreciating asset like a car. I wouldn't even spend it because it's going up in value. So you want to make sure, that's why I said it's best to leverage your name, and then you can get your hands on producing assets. Far as what Bitcoin is producing for me, why would I get off of that? I would I would sit on it and use cash, which is depreciating. This is why you see in prices is going up, the purchasing power, where you see the purchasing power of Bitcoin going up, not going down. So I hope that helps. Well, I hope all of this has been informational. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you didn't catch all the information for what we discussed, like I said, try to leverage your credit, even with your student loans, to really see how it balances your credit profile. Leverage your credit to get control of assets, get in control of property. All right. So just leverage your credit. You said, good evening. What's the best way to build your credit? I don't want a credit card. You just said don't do AG. I did not say don't do AG Jewelers. I said, I said back in the day, we used to get other trade lines like AG Jewelers for a much larger amount. Now, how to build your credit is depending on where you're starting. So where's your credit score and what is reporting on your credit? So all of that You need to analyze your own credit. If you want help from me, my link is at my website. But what you need to do is first understand what's reporting on your credit report. So people say, how I build my credit. That's like a general question. It's like how I fix my house. Yeah, I got problems with my house. How I fix it. There's plumbing issues. There's foundational issues. There can be carpentry issues. What's wrong? Electrical issues. Your roof. What's wrong with your credit? So people just throw that out because you hear so much people just information from credit repair. What's wrong with your credit? So you want to understand that. So I have plenty of content. Go down where we talk about trade lines. But the five pillars that your credit is, factors your credit is: credit history, 35%, debt to available credit, 30%. How much debt to unsecured lines of credit? So when you're saying you don't want credit cards, trust and believe you're not going far, because the credit system is built on unsecured lines of credit. Okay, so credit cards and having more than 5 credit accounts, or your file considered what they would call a thin file. So you gotta get unsecured lines of credit, because the thing is debt to available credit. So what we was talking about, student loans, if you got a lot of student loans, like 90 grand, that's a lot of debt. So you need to work on the getting unsecured lines of credit or revolving credit lines of credit. Just these are lines of credit that are not secured. So credit cards, a line of credit could be a home equity loan. Like those are lines of credit. Okay, so that is, those two categories by itself is 65%. So I will always start there if you're trying to improve your credit score. And it's different strategies in different ways. Then it's age of credit. That's 15%. Then new hard inquiries, or what we call new credit, and Mr. Credit are 10%. So if you're looking on how to fix your credit, I always would tell you, look at the credit payment history, how to improve that, and unsecured lines of credit. So most people go crazy with the payment history by disputing negative stuff, but they lack the unsecured lines of credit. That's the quickest way to increase your credit score. But the problem is, if you got a lot of negative items on your credit, none of the banks want to give you unsecured lines of credit. But you just gotta just learn. There's ways you can get those unsecured lines of credit and techniques. Check me out. The shopping cart trick, I did videos on that. How to get higher credit limits. I got plenty of content, and it's all for free. But to answer your question quickly, look at history, payment history, unsecured lines of credit. If y'all can master those two, you got 65%. That's the majority of your credit game right there. Okay, so I'm giving you gems. That's all I gotta say. If you need to figure it out from there, find ways, search it. My channel, and you can, if you learn how to fix those two, you're gonna see progress. So all right, everyone, enjoy your night and be blessed.